Hey guys, it's Meg and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you some study tracker ideas for your bullet journal, and let's just get into it. So now we're back into the school period, people are going back to school and university. I thought a study tracker video would be a useful one for you guys. So I'm going to show you a few different types throughout this video, and then I'm also going to show you how you can make those miniature to fit into a weekly spread. So I'm just going to start off with quite a basic one. So this is a time spent studying type of tracker. It will run across the whole month, so you can have it at the start of your monthly setup. And what I've got here is down the left hand side are the days of the month, and then across the top this will be where you put the times. So I've split this into 20-minute segments and then marked the time at the hour. So per square on the paper is 20 minutes, and then 3 of those would be 1 hour. So with any kind of tracker, I find they're a little bit hard to understand how they're going to work until they're filled in, so I thought I would just do an example and fill them in for you in this video so you can see how they would look and also how to fill them. So I'm going to use these Stabilo highlighters. I just love the fact that they're a slightly chiseled tip and find that this makes it a lot easier to keep the lines straight when you're trying to draw them into a tracker like this. As you can see, you would basically select whichever day that you're on, say you're on the 1st of the month. You would then draw a line up to the hour that corresponds with how many hours you've spent studying. That is literally it, as simple as that, and you end up with a bar graph looking tracker that would look like this by the end of the month. So the previous tracker was more so to look at the entire time spent studying over the month, whereas this one is going to be very similar. However, I'm going to break it down per subject. So if you wanted to know how many hours you'd spent on maths versus history, for example, then this is the kind of tracker for you. So the setup is exactly the same as the previous one, with days of the month down the left hand side and then hours across the top. Again, I've split them into 20 minutes per square on the page and then made a mark at each hour, this one going up to 6 hours, but of course adjust the timings into whatever's going to suit you best. I've then made a key down at the bottom of the page, and I'm filling this in with the colours that I'm going to link to each subject. So for example, maths is in purple, history is in pink, science in green, and English in yellow. This is the fun part, choosing which colours you think correspond to each subject. But to be honest, I just like the pastel colours, and these chisel tipped highlighters make the lines a lot easier, so I've stuck with those. And then you end up with a finished look a bit like this, so you can see not only how many hours you've spent studying over the month, but also which subjects those hours were spent on. So that's it for the 2 graph style trackers, and now let's move on to something a bit different. So next up, I wanted to show you a subject breakdown style tracker, because when I was studying, I always found it really useful to break down the subject into its topics or modules and track how far through each topic I was, as opposed to just how many hours I'd spent studying. So I thought it would be good to give you a different option in case you want to track your progress on a subject rather than just the hours. And to start off with, I always enjoyed writing down the list of topics or the list of modules, or you could even focus this in on just one subject, for example, and break down the topics into even smaller chunks. But this is just an example of how you might do it if you were breaking down a few different subjects. So I've written down the topics per subject, and if you're not sure what the topics of each subject are, then maybe if you've got a textbook, it might be the chapter titles or something like that. Otherwise, I'm sure you can find it online if you know what your exam board is. But once you've got this all written down, you then need to start setting up the progress tracker. The main reason behind this is because obviously spending hours on your studying is really good, and I'm sure it will be helpful. You also want to make sure you're keeping track of how much progress you're making through the subject. For example, you don't want to be spending hours and hours and hours and realise you're still on the first chapter. You need to be strategic with your time. So hopefully this kind of tracker would help with that. So basically, to set up this progress tracker, I'm writing down each subject, and then I'm creating a bar and splitting that into however many topics there are. Just for this example, I've written down 6 topics per subject, so I've split these bars into 6 squares. Then all you're going to do is, once you've ticked off a certain topic corresponding with the list you've got on the left hand page, You can then colour it in and you know that you've completed topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, etc. And then as you go through, you can clearly see how far through each subject you are, which ones you might need to spend a little bit more time on, and that sort of thing. So now you've got the two different style trackers, one focused on time and one focused on progress through the subject. I'm going to show you how you can fit those into a weekly spread. So first up, I'm going to show you how to fit the graph style trackers into the weekly spread and how to turn them into mini graphs so that they fit in even if you're just doing a single page weekly spread. So I'm setting up a very standard spread here, splitting up the space into days of the week. I've got Monday to Friday having a little bit extra room, and then I've split the bottom box into Saturday and Sunday, as I don't tend to plan the weekends as much. And then in the column on the left hand side of the page, I'm using this for the study tracker, and I'll also leave a little bit of space at the bottom for any notes. So what I'm doing here is creating a miniature graph and also a key that I can colour code for the different subjects that I'm going to be tracking. I'm then putting the initials for each subject down on the bottom, and then down the side is the number of hours spent studying. Again with the same setup as I used in the previous trackers, with each square being worth 20 minutes. I'm then filling in the tracker in the exact same way, choosing colours to go with each of the subjects, and then just drawing a line, hopefully a little bit straighter than mine, up to however many hours have been spent studying on that subject. It's as simple as that, and I just really love how the little miniature graph looks on your weekly spread. Then finally, I'm going to show you how you can make miniature progress trackers that you can put on your weekly spreads as well. So I'm just going ahead and setting up a standard weekly spread. This time I've gone with squares for the days of the week, just to change it up a little bit and give you some inspo for a slightly different spread setup. Then for the actual miniature tracker, you want to create a mini rectangle with a smaller rectangle inside, and these are going to act almost like a completion bar for you to track how much progress you've made on that subject throughout that week. So on this example, I've put maths and music, just changing it up, and you can see I'm then going to highlight how much of that subject I have completed during this week. Of course, this is bullet journaling, so you can really make it fit however you want to do it, but I would recommend either using these trackers to reflect the subject as a whole, so you can keep on top of it each week, seeing how much progress you're making in that subject overall. Alternatively, you can set yourself a goal for a week and use that tracker to represent how close you are to completing the goal. So for example, if you'd set yourself 5 hours of maths study this week, you can then use that bar to reflect how many of those 5 hours you've managed to achieve. I've also then included another one down at the bottom, and this is simply to show how many hours in general have been studied, just in this slightly different completion bar style format. And there you have it. So we've got our two graph style trackers, the time spent studying over the month as a whole, and then the same style tracker broken down into time spent per subject over the month. Then we've got the subject breakdown and the completion bar style tracker, so you can track your progress in terms of how far through each subject you are with your studying. And then you've got the mini versions of each of the trackers and how you might incorporate these into a weekly spread. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to this week's subscriber shout out, Craft by Us. Thank you so much for all your support and lovely comments on my channel. It really means the world to me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I next upload. And I'll see you in the next one.